What if I told you there was a character in Star Wars that far outweighed the strength and power of any Jedi or Sith to have ever lived? What if I told you there was a being that could drive stable-minded Jedi to insanity from light years away and prompt them to do their bidding? What if there was an entity that the likes of even the expanded universe's Grand Master Luke Skywalker stood no chance against, even by his own assumption? Today, we will be discussing the most powerful Star Wars character of them all, the Queen of the Stars and Bringer of Chaos, Abeloth. To fully grasp the full potential of Abeloth's power, we first need to explore her origins. Abeloth was once a human, similar to you or me. Abeloth was a female who found herself stranded on the planet of the ancient Force entities, the Ones. Because she could not leave the world, she formed a connection with the entities, being the son, the daughter, and the father, and took on the mother role for the children, and for once in the history of the Ones, she united the son and daughter together, and their endless warring ceased. Years and years passed, however, and the woman grew old, and eventually, the fighting between the son and daughter began yet again. Seeing her children fight tore the woman up inside, and she decided to take desperate measures in ensuring she would never lose her family and could be with them forever. The woman had known of 2 exponentially powerful force nexuses on the planet, which she was forbidden to go near, but seeing her children slipping through her fingers drove her to desperate measures. The woman, to ensure she lived forever, not only engulfed herself in the energy of the light nexus, but partook in both the dark and light side nexus present on the planet, bathing in the pool of knowledge and then drinking from the font of power. This action did indeed grant her immortality, but it also changed her and drove her mad. Abeloth, now a creature of death, ventured to where her children were fighting, subduing both of them and laughing at the immense power she now held. The son and daughter crumbled to their knees in utter shock, as they had never been purely dominated in such a manner. Just before Abeloth destroyed her once beloved children, the father stepped in, gathering his children and fleeing the planet. Together with the power of the son, daughter, and the father, they trapped Abeloth on the planet. But every few thousand years, a tremor in the Force would occur, and Abeloth would be temporarily freed, at which time the son and daughter would venture back to their homeworld and entrap her once again. This cycle continued for millennia until Anakin Skywalker found the Ones on Mortis, and his presence inadvertently resulted in the family tearing each other apart from within. Abeloth sensed the death of her family from across the stars and mourned her loss, but was also overjoyed that one day she would be free and she could finally destroy the galaxy. Decades passed, and Abeloth waited until one day she sensed the disturbance she had been waiting for. The nephew of Luke Skywalker, Jacen Solo, now the Sith Lord Darth Caedus, had waged war on his family, attempting to forcefully bring the galaxy together, but, as a result, caused great death to sweep many worlds. The breaking apart of the Skywalker family and the state of the galaxy was enough to finally break Abeloth's chains, and she escaped her prison. Abeloth sought this time to exceed the tumultuous state of the galaxy and destroy it in its entirety, thinking if she could not have a family, no one could. Following the death of Caedus, Luke sensed something within the Force, beckoning him to follow. Through the shadows, Luke saw Abeloth, but not as she truly was, as a beautiful woman. Luke refused to follow, in fear of what the being actually was, as even he could not see past her disguise. This was, though, a mistake on Abeloth's part, as she had informed Luke of her existence. Together, Luke and his son searched for her, encountering many bodies she inhabited, discovering she could be several people at once. Abeloth also gained control and influence over a portion of the Jedi Order, including Jaina Solo, causing a break among the Jedi. Luke hunted Abeloth through space, destroying several of her avatars, until Abeloth grew tired of the game and confronted Luke in her true form. Keep in mind, this is Grand Master Luke, Expanded Universe Luke, who according to George Lucas is the most powerful Jedi to have ever lived. During Luke and Abeloth's ensuing fight, Luke stabbed Abeloth with his lightsaber, and she simply reformed. Luke also severed her arm and leg from her body, then knocked her into lava, at which point she crawled out and attacked Luke, seemingly unhurt. She was also much faster than even Luke, launching attacks before he could react. Abeloth actually blasted through a soldier in order to electrocute Luke with Force Lightning. When a blaster bolt was fired at her, she caught it in her hand and twirled it in between her fingers. She did this again later with Force Lightning. Abeloth reached through the Force and seized Luke by the throat at one point, and it was stated here that Abeloth was roughly a dozen times more powerful than Luke was in the Force. A quote says this: "It was no good. Abeloth had a dozen times the Force strength Luke had, and he could do no more than keep her from crushing his throat." Abeloth could also teleport through space, maneuvering around a battlefield, forcing soldiers to inadvertently kill their comrades. At the end of her push for the galaxy, she took control over a senator and was elected chief of state. Abeloth could be anywhere, and only the most powerful could resist the will to serve her, with even some of the Skywalker lineage praising her for her power. Abeloth was finally hunted down within a realm of her own creation, called Beyond Shadows, where together Luke Skywalker, united with several other Sith, including the rising and prestigious Darth Krayt, finally defeated her. Once in Beyond Shadows, Abeloth tormented and tortured the Sith, destroying all but Krayt. Together, both Luke and Darth Krayt banded together to launch one more advance on Abeloth. They fought long and hard, and eventually, they seemingly vanquished the demon. But this concerned Luke. Although Abeloth had brought him to his limits, he realized she could have killed them both, but yet decided not to. Whilst the rest of the galaxy rejoiced, Luke was left troubled, and informed the rest of the Jedi that although all the known avatars of Abeloth were dead, he believed she would return. Luke told his Jedi Order that Abeloth's return was an eventuality, and that although it was likely it would not be during his time, and even could perhaps outstretch the Jedi themselves, they would need to be ready. Luke then began a search for the dagger left on Mortis, which was said to be the only weapon capable of killing the Ones, and he thus assumed it would be capable of vanquishing Abeloth, but even of this, he was unsure. At the end, it was left unclear whether or not Luke or his family ever retrieved the dagger, and where Abeloth was. Abeloth's power was insane, and Luke literally threw everything he had at her, with his best only slowing her down. Luke even says that Abeloth is beyond human comprehension, and is far more than a Sith or Jedi, because they are alive, and made out of flesh and blood, but Abeloth was something beyond. Abeloth could be anywhere, and take control of nearly anyone. On top of all this, there is only a single way to kill her, and even that isn't 100% a sure thing. Abeloth was so powerful, she actually constructed her own warped reality to cope with her grief. In all of Star Wars, she is absolutely one of the most insane characters. She is also unique because she is constantly warring within herself. Not only did she obtain the power of one Force Nexus, but two, and on top of this, one was light and the other dark, meaning there is a literal war of power within her. The Ones are shown to be insanely powerful and nearly untouchable, and Abeloth manhandled them. It's also important to note we don't know the true extent of all of Abeloth's abilities, and she is likely capable of even bigger feats, maybe even potentially planet-destroying ones. The most important thing here though is that we know Abeloth not only beats characters throughout Star Wars acclaimed for being insanely powerful, but absolutely mops the floor with them. So there you have it. The most powerful Star Wars character isn't a Jedi or a Sith, it's a literal light and dark side entity, who according to Luke himself is 12 times as gifted with the Force as he is. So tell me down below, how do you feel about Abeloth? And are you sad we will likely never see an end to her story? Also, tell me down below what characters you think potentially stand a chance against her. Thank you so much for watching, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.